Okay guys, so we are into game 2 of Haymaker versus XYFusion. So in the first game we saw that there was some great macro from both sides there. Haymaker going for quite an early command center, going for a nice timing tack with +1 attack, +1 weapons, and Marine Marauder stim pack. Pretty good with a siege tank. XYFusion went straight into a hive and went for Ultralisks, which did allow him to hold on for a lot longer than he should have in the game, and it was pretty good. But unfortunately the pressure that Haymaker applied to him throughout the game just broke him down a bit, and he did lose his third base, and that was it for him because he had no more income. So let's see what this second game has in store for us, whether we're going to see a bit more of the same. We do see a 14 spawning pool for XY again, and we do see the pretty standard supply depot and barracks for Haymaker. So I think we're setting up for the same kind of game that we had last time, but we'll have to wait and see. Overlord just coming across the map here, nice and standard as we start off this game. So the first couple of minutes of StarCraft are very much the same for a lot of games. There's obviously every now and again where you can have a cheesy opener, sort of this barracks is built over at the fourth base location and like 3 more are added on and a load of Marines rush the natural line. But most of the time this is what you see in StarCraft, is very standard pool, hatch, gas, and a supply depot, barracks, supply depot, and another barracks or factory or starport. So it's not until about 2 minutes in that we will start to see any kind of tech choices from either player. We might even see a SCV scout here from Haymaker pretty shortly. Doesn't look like that's going to happen, so he's going to be lacking a bit of information on his opponent this time round. Won't know about this early expand. Is adding a reactor onto the barracks here instead of going for a marine straight away, so he can pump out a lot more fast. He's going for a very quick command center. 2-minute command center is quite quick, even before a factory, which is sort of, you know, standard. Do see 6 lings on the production tab, so XY recognizing that last game just simply didn't have enough units, and he is making a lot more here. So I do like this. I would like to see them, instead of being rallied here, would like to see them rallied over here. And if they pick off this SCV, that can be really detrimental to the Terran, because if they don't build the second supply depot that a lot of them do, if you don't build the second supply depot, stopping this SCV finishing the command center can supply block the Terran, which is actually quite annoying. So we don't see that. Unfortunately, we just see the lings just kind of hovering here at the top of the ramp, perhaps anticipating some aggression like we did see last game from Haymaker. We do see that very quick layer coming in again, so I'm wondering if XY is thinking, right, I'll do more of the same. He is banking these lava again, so I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about the lava bank. I kind of just feel as though you need to turn them all into drones. Do see the Marine hit squad up on this high ground, seeing away this Overlord scout, but XYFusion has actually done a really good job at getting information out of his opponent. So he knows about the CC, he knows the exact timing of it, he knows about this barracks, he knows about the factory, he knows about his opponent's army. Yeah, so it's going pretty well here in terms of scouting information. So Haymaker paying quite a bit of attention to trying to deny this scout that's already happened, so maybe just getting back on top of this macro. Does manage to snipe the Overlord there and supply block the Zerg player. An idle queen here with a bit of energy, not spitting on this hatch. I'm wondering if this is... It is rally, but it doesn't seem to be hotkeyed, so not sure about that. Yeah, just pretty standard stuff from both of these players, but unlike last game where we saw Marine Marauder opener, we do see a reacted Hellion opener from Haymaker, so perhaps a couple more Hellions to come out before we see any kind of aggression, because we do see +1 infantry weapons, so not too sure about the choice of that. That could have been another factory pumping out Hellions or an armory possibly. So yeah, but you are progressing into stim, so maybe I'm just reading this wrong and this early game opener isn't your full committal. Starport started up, so yeah, I think we're probably going to see the same as what we saw last game, but with just a slightly different opener here. Metabolic boost coming down quite late for the Zerg player here. I'd like to see this a lot earlier, considering he had the 2 gas geysers up. I'm not sure if they were mining as fast as you would like them to. We do see every single tech choice available to the Zerg player at this point. So we see Roach Warren, we see a Hydralisk Den, and we see an Infestation Pit. So I'm not really too sure about that. That's a lot of stuff that you've thrown into buildings that you could have otherwise turned into drones, maybe another hatchery. maybe some more gas geysers, because you just aren't going to have the economy here to spend all that money getting all of these upgrades and the units at the same time. You do see 4 roaches on the production tab, but XY just not really too sure, because he does have the income. He just doesn't seem to be on top of this drone production, overlord production. Just a bit lazy on the lava, I think. I do now see these Hellions coming across the map. They did take some damage, and I'm sorry, I did miss that engagement of the Hellions. Let me just catch that again. I'll go back. So we do see the Lings running up here, engaging the Hellions. 15 seconds ago, just skip back there so that you guys get to see this, as the Hellions are really good against these Lings, and they just kind of burn them, and I don't think any units were lost here at all. I can't... No, it doesn't look like Haymaker lost any kind of stuff there. Just kind of burnt a load of Lings, and XY has dropped in the army supply, but those roaches, supply heavy units, making up for the count. This drone actually misrallied here. Do see the SCVs looking to go for a repair. I don't think they're on auto repair. Oh, they are on auto repair. Not too sure. I think they're on auto repair, but I think they've just been mismicroed. Yeah, you need to right click the auto repair so that the SCVs do go to these Hellions and start repairing them. This could potentially be a misrally of... Yeah, it is a misrally of a command center, actually. Bit weird. Not sure about that one. We do see this game the Roach, not even the Roach speed upgrade. So we haven't seen this Roach speed upgrade just yet. Really important upgrade for the Roaches, especially for off creep, because Roaches are very slow units without this. They get a very nice speed boost, and it increases their attack speed, so they are very good with that upgrade. Hydralist upgrade, equally important, but you haven't got any Hydras, so not too sure about the upgrade that you're choosing there, XY. Do see that the Hellions having a little poke here. They get picked off completely by these Roaches. Roaches will take down the Hellions for days. They don't really take a lot of damage from their flames. And we see right here the Hellions eating up the Lings, but taking a lot of fire from the Roaches. They have managed to get into this mineral line here, so this could be dangerous for the Zerg player. Looks like there isn't a lot of micro there from Haymaker, and he does only seem to kill about 2 or 3 drones. Not entirely sure he killed any there, as XY holds off with the Roachling. These Hellions here, maybe just park them over at the 3rd base. No point in leaving them here unless you're looking for when your Zerg opponent's going to move out. Haymaker does decide just to sit back a bit from that aggression now and go into a 3rd command center. We do actually see the Roach speed upgrade coming out, XY recognising that is a vital upgrade there. Bit better on the lava supply here. Just a bunch of overlords though coming out, so XYFusion potentially having a bit of issues with supply there. Going into a very quick hive like we saw last game as well, so potentially Ultralisk going to be seen again this game. Be quite nice considering your opponent is going for some light fast Hellions that don't do a lot of damage against Ultralisks at all. And if he's going for bio, of course, then the splash damage is going to do wonders against the bio. Haymaker keeping his energy spending quite low on this command center here, dropping mules at both the main and the natural so that he's not overmining one base. We do see double medevac after this reactor finished on the starport coming out here, and I actually just noticed now there's some liberators coming out. So liberators are really cool. They can go into siege mode, so they're kind of like a siege tank but in the sky. So you can park one at the back of your opponent's base here, zone in on the drones, and the liberator will just pew 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 kill 1 drone per shot, which is really good value. And if you get 1 in the natural, 1 in the main, the Zerg has to pull queens, pull Hydralisks, something to deal with them. Haymaker trying to get a bit of scouting information with these Hellions. Unfortunately they get trapped there by the Lings on the ramp and then get taken out by the Roaches. I think he is also going to lose another Hellion there, but unfortunately he does get a few Zerglings for his troubles though, so not too bad. I'm wondering if XYFusion probably wants to make a push for it here. He doesn't have an Evo chamber. He does actually have an Evo chamber, but nothing being researched from it, so not liking that too much. 3rd base has just finished up for him. Yeah, again, there's nothing on the production tab, and we've got a load of idle lava at this natural, so I'm wondering if these hatcheries are just not on the same hot group or something. I'm not really too sure what's going on with that, but we do see the fast hive and quick Ultralisk cavern coming out again. These Liberators and Haymaker's army probably going to cause a nice bit of damage, but the Zerg has already got Hydralisks, so Hydralisk can just skirt around the edge of the Liberation Zone, it's called, and take down the Liberators pretty fast. So not too sure how much value these Liberators are going to get from this army. Armory already down for Haymaker, who does already have combat shield, stim, and +1 attack and weapons here. Wonder if he's waiting for, yeah, possibly +2 weapons before moving out. So adding on lots of production, keeping his macro and his spending quite low. Not as low as we saw it last game, but still not too bad for a novice tournament. XY's minerals and gas is still quite high, and that is because he has these idle lava. And a lot of them just kind of sat there. Not really too sure what he's doing. If he's waiting for Ultralisks, XY, if you're waiting for Ultralisks to come out, if you can't afford them, make a different unit that doesn't cost gas. In that, I mean Lings. Just make some Lings. Ultraling Bane is normally what the standard composition is against Bio for Zerg. Works very well because the Banelings do some splash damage, the Ultralisks do splash damage, and the Lings can do run around and get the siege tanks that are in the back. So if you want to transition out of this Roach Hydra, possibly into Lingbane Ultralisk. I can hear some shooting going on, but I didn't see anything die, so I think that Liberator was probably here taken out by a Queen or something, I'm not too sure. Just a bit of a lull in the game. Haymaker sort of poising for a bit of a move out here as his +2 weapons and +1 armor is just about nearly done, so... yeah, pretty standard. Thor coming out here, which is a nice addition if your opponent has air units, but XYFusion sticking to sort of a Roach Hydra push with some Ultralisks. I like this. Moving out. He's got quite a substantial army. Haymaker has a bit of a bigger army, but if the Zerg gets a nice engagement, I think he just has better units here, really, than the Terran opponent. But the Terran does have upgrades. The Zerg does have +1 melee, +1 missile and +1 carapace. But he does just throw away those Lings there, unfortunately. Not too bad because they are cheap and you do have the income to support them. So I think, yep, Zerg, go ahead. While you're attacking like this though, you've got to make sure that production is on. So as we've noticed that XY's production has kind of halted and he does have a load of idle lava, Haymaker is staying on top, adding upgrades. A nice pick off with the siege tank there. Got to push up this ramp. If you don't pick up quick enough, the siege tanks will siege up, the Liberators will siege up, and this is now impossible for the Zerg to push up, so I wouldn't even try bother. Just go home at the minute, XY, or you can look around for another angle. You'd find this third base and you'd be able to do some substantial damage. This is what I mean by the liberation zones. The Zerg's just kind of walking around them. Doesn't quite have enough Hydras in the composition to quite actively take them out. But while they're in the siege mode, the Liberators cannot move. So these Ravengers have corrosive bile, which can actually sort of shoot down these Liberators because they're not moving. So if you plop, I think it's 4 biles to kill a Liberator. If you plop 4 biles just where this marker is on the ground, you should be able to kill it before the Terran unsieges it. Terran really nice there, having the liberation zones, allowing your units to push forward into this Zerg army. The Terran does have a bigger army supply, so it's a bit scary, especially with these siege tanks now sieging up, sieging away. Don't want to overextend there, Haymaker. Got to be very careful that you don't just lose all of this bio army, because that could become very dangerous for you. Massive banks coming from both players here. Not a lot on the production tab for the Zerg. Not too bad from Haymaker. Not as good as we saw last game. A couple of these starports, factory starport remaining idle. Possibly not on the control group just yet. But nice transfer of workers. Bit of very oversaturated in the natural, but not so in the main. And oversaturated, unfortunately, in the third as well. The Zerg has decided to go home here, recognising that these liberation zones and the sieged up tanks were not something that he could push into. So he's made the correct decision to go home. But if you're going to go home, XY, you need to make sure that you're on top of your macro. And in that production tab, I see a single spire and I see idle lava all over the ground. These could be drones, they could be lings, they could be whatever you want them to be. We do see +2/+2 coming out for the Zerg player here, recognising that his opponent has gone for some upgrades himself, so he wants to make sure that he stays ahead in that upgrade game. Haymaker going into +3 weapons straight away as soon as +2 armour finishes off, which is really, really dangerous for these the Zerg player here, as +3 Marines are very, very, very high damage units. He does recognise that this whole army is coming to the third. The Liberator, he needs to pull the drones here or the Liberator's going to have a field day. 2 drones, the whole army here taking down the hatchery. Liberator's already at 5, 6, 7 drone kills, 8 drone kills. Nearly doesn't, he allows that one to live. Zerg's got a nice positioning here. He's sending a couple of ultras down to block the ramp as well. Doesn't want to push through this choke. He wants to let the Terran come to him. If you push through this choke XY, you're good as dead because of these siege tanks that are sieged up on the other side here. Just let your Terran opponent try and push you and take the opportune moment when he's unsieged. No, 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 don't fall back up the ramp. You don't want to go there. This is a nice position to hold. Of course, if you want to go for a flank, then be my guest. I mean, that's very nice. You're going to come up behind the back of the siege tank, but you need to bait your Terran opponent into attacking you first. Don't show your hand just yet. Oh, he's just come a little bit too early, and this siege tank here is very nicely placed by Haymaker. Great positioning. I think there's just going to be a bit too much with this ultra stuck at the back. The other two at the front going down very quickly to the +2/+2. And yeah, again, there's just too much from Haymaker here for XY to just deal with. His entire army gets stomped. Even a Thor drop coming in. Not entirely sure that was intentional, but yeah, looks like this is again game over for the Zerg player. Haymaker's going to win this 2-0. Yeah. Some really nice macro coming out from both players again. Just a little bit better from Haymaker this time round. Now as we just see the massacre of drones, delayed GG. There's no way you can come back from this. You got one base Zerg. Yeah, there's the GG called. Pretty nice second game. More of the same. Very nice, guys. Great round 3. GG.